Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Late Show. This is your host, Young Brando, live from Los Angeles. We're back with another episode where we're going to talk about an auction again. The season is pretty strong. There's still a few auctions coming up in June in New York. So we're looking ahead to those, but certainly we still have some business to finish in Hong Kong. I was right in the thick of those Cartiers yesterday night when I had some of my guests, which I hope will drop by today as well. I always say it's much better to talk watches with friends and to talk about a whole bunch of other things too. So feel free to jump on the panel if you have something on your mind. If you want to bring up something on the panel, you're always welcome. Big Meech says, keep the ears on. I don't know how you mean, Meech. I don't know what you're talking about. But thanks for sharing. So we had looked at lot 84 of this Bonhams Hong Kong auction that's going to take place on the 30th, which is Tuesday, of course, but due to the time difference and due to the fact that this is at 2:30 p.m., you should take it into account that you need to be registered and ready to go on Monday if you are going to bid in absentia. We looked at Cartier's response at lot number 847 to Jaeger-LeCoultre's reversal, a rectangular watch with a swiveling case, as you see, beautifully decorated on the inside of the carriage with that double wishbone Cartier logo, with all the other accoutrements of a Cartier watch, silvered dial, guilloche decorated with the secret Cartier signature hidden right there in the V of the Roman numeral 7. Railroad track for the minutes, which are surrounded by those stylized and elongated Roman numerals. In this case, you have a solid case back in both instances, I think, even though there are examples of the Cartier basculante, which have kind of a porthole like opening um, on the case back that peers into the movement. And that's an edition of it that came out from the CP collection, that particular series of watches that spanned a decade between 1998 to 2008, and where Cartier's design expertise and storied catalog of watch models met with some great watchmaking, both from within, but also in collaboration with certain ascendant, emergent, independent watchmakers such as François Bourgeon and Denis Flageolet, among others. This piece at lot 847 has a pre-auction estimate that places its value right around $6,380. Hey, Mitch, thank you so much. Happy Memorial Weekend, all, with a little kitten emoji. Super pitchy. Time is ticking indeed. We appreciate you, Mitch. Thank you so much. I'm going to check quickly what you sent in the background again. Oh, Mitch. You're too much sometimes. If you have any questions about particular kinds of watches in this auction, please feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I'll be more than happy to go back, jump forward, and talk about those watches in some detail with you. It'll be my pleasure. Let's soldier on. We are looking at lot number 848, which is the watch in my thumbnail, which is, as you know, a watch that has been all the rage in the watch community, especially among high rolling collectors, which includes certain celebrities, the Cartier Crash. Cartier Crash, of course, has a number of apocryphal stories about the origin of its design. There's that story um, of a Cartier watch, probably I would say Baignoire allongé, getting somehow bent out of shape in a car crash. There's, of course, the highly legitimate idea that it was somehow inspired by a number of works of surrealist art, especially the kind of melting clocks that Salvador Dali used in um, certain works, specifically The Persistence of Memory, a famous painting. But ultimately, this is a piece that was basically designed in collaboration with the artist Rupert Emerson, with Jean-Jacques Cartier, who was leading the London house of Cartier in 1991. The Paris house actually did a kind of reissue, a limited run of 400 pieces. So these early 90s examples are also quite desirable in their own right. And they do carry a lot of the signature elements of a Cartier watch. As you can see, once again, you have the stylized and elongated Roman numerals over a silver dial, the secret Cartier signature at 7 o'clock, and the heat blued hands that both provide some additional legibility and visual interest on the dial and play along beautifully with the sapphire cabochon that tops off the beaded crown. As you can see, the lugs are actually T-bar styled and are quite discreet and literally hidden under the shaped watch, which provides quite a sleek appearance. And even the déployant buckle, which is in 18 karat, which is rendered here in 18 karat yellow gold to match the case, is misshapen, is bent out of shape, is crashed. And thus, even as it resembles the larger outlines of a classic Cartier déployant clasp, it matches the outlines of the crash case, which is a cool detail for sure. This is apparently part of a sub collection within this curation, the Timeless collection. Single owner who consigned these 4 watches, which we will arrive at. The first one we covered was this Cartier Paris Cartier Paris Crash from 1991, one of 400. This particular piece being individually numbered number 017. And the pre-auction estimate places the value of this watch at whopping 95,750 US dollars at the low end. What does that mean? There are a number of interesting pieces, but I'm not sure if we can look at all of them, though I like the 852, so I will bring that up. 852 is part of the CP collection. It's a 38 millimeter Pasha de Cartier with an open work dial that has this sort of grill-like or gridlock-like design. Of course, the Cartier Pasha was, when it was designed by Gerald Janta, it also had this element of a grill or grid that you can actually place on top of the watch. A lot of times they end up bejeweled, gem set in certain ways, although that's not necessarily always the case. So it's to be appreciated when you see an example of a work like this that actually integrates that design to the very dial of the watch in an open worked way. You see, you have this sort of modular piece, a removable grid or grill, as they say in French, that snaps right on the watch. And in the case of this open worked tourbillon, that grid in a deconstructed fashion becomes the open work dial itself. Once again, Gerald Janta's Pasha has an aesthetic that plays with friction, tension, interplay between different kinds of geometric shapes. In this case, you have usually a square that sets off the center of the dial with a round dial and round case. In this case, that square also is exploded. It actually touches the corners of the dial. It touches the chapter ring at 4 distinct points, which are screwed on, and there are black details, as you can see, that trace out that square. There's a porthole-like glimpse onto the tourbillon on the back of the case. This is a highly limited edition, number 18 of 20 pieces, which, by the way, is usually the case with the Collection Privée Cartier Paris, that's 1998-2008 collection of watches. Usually the numbers are a little bit higher, 50, 100, sometimes a little more, but they're all quite limited and exclusive pieces, and that's part of their appeal for collectors today. I don't have their books, of course. I don't know the exact numbers from the time, but to my understanding, between 1998 and 2008, the CP series was mostly a financial flop, but I think its horological legacy may not be underestimated, should not be underestimated. And this watch, I think, is a great example of that. Again, you have the oversized Arabic numerals, the diamond-shaped and heat-tempered stainless steel hands, and of course, a sapphire cabochon on that crown guard, which you can open up as if you are opening a clasp. You can kind of see the tourbillon in a very suggestive way under the grille from the front, but the real view you get is through the back. And the watch is matched with that 18 karat white gold dépliant clasp. Just to make sure, it also includes the presentation box, which is partly an appeal of a Cartier piece, especially when it belongs to this sort of exclusive collection. I think this is a very beautiful piece. I already like the Pasha design, but to approach it in this sort of deconstructive and imaginative way is quite thought-provoking. The pre-auction estimate is 200,000 to 400,000 in Hong Kong dollars, which actually is right around 25,535 in US dollars. By the way, my bad. This is just collection privée, so it's not technically a CP watch. Sorry to play semantics, but you know, I like getting things right when it comes to this. The details are important. So this is, in many ways, even more limited, even more exclusive, but it's a different kind of design and not necessarily part of the CP, but simply part of the private collection privée, and that's it. This is lot 860. We're looking at an LU Chopard flyback chronograph. Chopard LUC is, as you know, the high horological arm of the famous jewelry, horological, and even fashion house these days, Chopard. It produces watches with highly decorated calibers with important horological achievements. There are some misperceptions about the manufacturer. Not every single watch that comes out of the Chopard manufacturer, LUC manufacturer, is actually with a hallmark of Geneva. And I'm not only talking about watches that carry the seal of the Fleurier Quality Foundation, but there are also watches like these that are still important pieces, that are still significant achievements, but that don't necessarily are Geneva seal calibers. Here you have a flyback chronograph with 44 millimeter white gold case. You have a Soleil kind of design on the background of the dial, the silver design that emanates from the signature of the brand rather than from under the hand stacks, from an imaginary center point of the watch. You have two oversized counters, one for the 30-minute totalizer at 3 o'clock, which is set off but by a subtly recessed and highly polished metallic ring. And that actually has a gray background, along with the 9 o'clock register, which is a 12-hour counter. You have the continuous running seconds at 6 o'clock, which is a little bit in miniature. And then you also have a centrally deployed and red-tipped chronograph seconds hand, which, of course, aligns well with the seconds track on the chapter ring that indicates up to 1/5 of a second. As you can see, the watch has very subtle blued details as well on the hands, on the raised Roman numerals, and a little bit of lume too. I think the case design is beautiful, if a little too big, which I didn't quite understand when it came to the Chrono 1, because as you can see, the movement itself is not gigantic. They could have certainly, fit this movement into a 41 or 42 millimeter case, maybe even something smaller, but I guess they wanted perhaps the feel of an old school driving chronograph, because Karl Friedrich Scheufele actually participates in Mille Miglia, and his écurie, his teammate is none other than Jackie X himself. So maybe they just wanted to make a watch for themselves that had that feel of an oversized chronograph that they would actually wear to racing. I don't know. For my taste, this is way too big, but it does speak to the legacy of those oversized chronographs that were 44, 47, 48 millimeters, and they were designed to be worn in the cockpit, so to speak, right? Whether you are flying a plane or racing a car, that's precisely the purpose towards which this tool is manufactured. This is lot 860, and it does come with the original presentation box, certificate, and an instruction manual. At lot number 860, the pre-auction estimates at its low end actually has a price set for it. That is in excess of $9,950. At lot 862, we have a limited edition Omega Speedmaster, a Snoopy award piece, Eyes on the Stars, as you can see in the continuous running seconds subdial. This is a piece that was released in 2003 in a limited run of 5,441 pieces worldwide to commemorate the duration of the Apollo 11 mission. The Silver Snoopy Award is still given to NASA astronauts and employees for outstanding achievements and for their professionalism and dedication. And apparently, if you didn't know the background of the connection between the Snoopy and the Speedmaster, it all goes back to the mission Apollo 10. During that mission in 1969, the call signs were character names from the Peanuts comic. For instance, the command module was called Charlie Brown. The lunar excursion module was called Snoopy. The lunar excursion module was named Snoopy because its job was to snoop around for a good landing site for Apollo 11. And that brings us to year 2003 when Omega released this Snoopy Award edition in 5,441 pieces. The movement beating inside is caliber 1861, and you have the same logo also on the case back. This is quite a late number in the series. And the particular lots does come with the certificates, warranty cards, swing tag, and the pictogram card from year 2004, the Speedmaster Snoopy Award. The estimated value at its low end gives us a number in excess of 12,750 in US dollars. Give me 1 second. We're looking now at a relatively contemporary watch. Rolex introduced this new mint green color last year in the Watches and Wonders in 2022. And this is a Datejust reference 126334 with mint green dial. This is the 40 millimeter version, which comes on the matching Jubilee bracelet and a fluted bezel in 18 karat white gold. A beautiful little detail, if you ask me. I always like the fluted white gold bezel, although in vintage examples, I think there's a certain charm of the engine turned bezel that is in matching stainless steel. But I think as a tone-on-tone watch, I have one with the silver dial as well, which has that linen pattern. I really like the fact that you have those subtle distinctions between different shades of gray, no pun intended. This particular piece, which is a Datejust 40 with the reference number 126334 from last year, is offered with the full set of its accessories and the relatively new and quite exclusive mint green dial. and the pre-auction estimates places its value in right at around 11,500 in US dollars at its lower end. That was lot number 863, which is a Rolex Datejust 40 with the mint green dial. At the next lot, 864, we have Rolex Daytona, Rolex Cosmograph Daytona from 1997, all in stainless steel with the black dial. The outer rings of the chronograph register provide a nice contrast, and I think go really well with those slightly extended, slender indices for the hour markers in terms of the colors. Of course, there's the red Daytona writing right above the 12-hour counter at 6. Since this generation is built on the base of the Zenit El Primero 400 caliber, the continuous running seconds is actually at 9 o'clock, and you can see the layout of the dial is slightly different, right? Since Rolex introduced the in-house caliber 4130, the placement of the chronograph registers have shifted ever so slightly upward. In this generation, that lasted from 1988 to 2000 and carried the reference number 16520. You have actually a perfect symmetry. You can draw a perfectly straight line through 9 o'clock and slice the dial into two equal pieces, slice the two subsidiary dials at 9 and 3 also into two pieces of equal size, and go right through the middle of the crown as well. So this particular piece has a visual balance that is hard to argue with, and I think is quite beautiful. This particular example comes with its stainless steel bracelet with polished center links. Daytona, as you know, pretty early in that production run, was one of the first stainless steel sports models to integrate that particular approach. This example is from quite late in the production run, from 1998, a U serial. It does come with a presentation box, a punched Rolex certificate, and a booklet. At lot number 864, this Rolex Zenit Daytona, reference 16520, with the black dial, has a pre-auction estimate which places its value right around 17,900 US dollars. We have a few examples of the timeless collection from a sophisticated private collector. With all due respect, I find the naming here a little excessive. I mean, all you have is really relatively modern Rolex pieces here that is presented. I know there were some interesting examples. We started with the Cartier Crash. That's a pretty timeless piece. But I mean, you know, anyway, I don't want to offend anyone, but let's go through some of them. We have at lot number 866 an example of the GMT Master, the so-called modern root beer, reference 126711 CH and R, which executes the two-tone with a case and bracelet that is largely in stainless steel, but with the bezel, the crown, as well as the polished center links in 18 karat pink gold. Of course, you have a ceramic bezel that integrates similar accents into the colors of its 24-hour ring, 24-hour insert, with the red mostly mapping onto day hours, and with the black actually going for, I would say, actually, more maroon than red, of course, and with the black aligning with night hours. This is from 2019, and it does actually come with the full set of its original accessories. And lot number 866, a GMT Master 2 modern root beer with the reference number 126711 CHNR, has a value that's right in excess of $12,000 at its low end. At lot number 867, we have something that's slightly more rare now, especially since it's been discontinued. This is a GMT Master 2 in yellow gold on the matching oyster bracelet, and with the green dial 116718LN. This particular piece seems to be in an impeccable condition, with the case back sticker intact as well. As you can see, the hallmarks are very visible, prominent, and crisp. And this does come with its box and papers. From 2003, a GMT Master 2, reference 116718LN, with the green dial in 18 karat yellow gold. This is lot number 867, with an estimated value that at its low end exceeds 25,500 in US dollars. We have a nice assortment of precious metal Daytonas, back to back to back. Lot 870 is reference number 116518LN. This is the yellow gold on the oyster bracelets with the matching déployant clasp and the ceramic bezel. The dial is in this beautiful sunburst champagne, with the chronograph registers rendered in black. That subtly recessed part is also radially guilloché decorated to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of dimensionality. This piece again looks like relatively well preserved, from 2017, and it does come with the bezel protector, 2 hang tags, warranty card, as well as the original presentation box, a Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, reference 116518LN. the yellow gold Rolex Cosmograph Daytona on the rubber band and with the ceramic bezel. The piece has a pre-auction estimate that places its value right around $32,000. We have 3 pieces on matching bracelets now. Lot 871 is the white gold panda, so to speak, the silver panda, 116509. White gold case on a matching white gold oyster bracelet. A silver gray dial with black chronograph registers. The tachometer bezel in this case is in matching white gold. The piece is quite well preserved. And it does come with its original presentation material and has a similar value right around 32,000 US dollars at the lower end of that pre-auction estimate. Hey, taking time. JB, nice to see you guys. At 872, we're looking at the 116505. This is the pink gold, the Everose Rolex Cosmograph Daytona on the matching oyster bracelet with the black dial. The chronograph registers encircled and framed by those rings and nicely detailed with an outer ring in black and with the insides given that vinyl-like groove, that radial guilloche decoration. Once again, in this case, you don't only have a well-preserved watch, but practically a new old stock one. I think this is as legible as it gets when it comes to the Daytona, which is an added dimension, which is, I think, slightly important if you care. And you are getting a full set here down to the guard for the tachometer bezel, which is, of course, in matching pink gold. Of course, you are getting the presentation box, the slightly larger presentation box, the original warranty card, the hang tags, and everything else that comes with it. So this is lot number 872. It's also, again, similarly priced, similarly estimated in terms of its value, right around $32,000 at the lower end. That was the Everose Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, new old stock from 2010. At 873, we have the Roger Federer, the 116509, the white gold Rolex Daytona on the matching oyster bracelets, polished center links, 18 karat white gold tachometer, and this anthracite gray to black racing dial with the Arabic numerals radially placed around the hour track, with the chronograph registers framed by rings, by circles that match the tones of the case, and finally with red accents within the chronograph registers with the chronograph hands as well as the chronograph seconds that are set off beautifully. All the chronograph hands, including the centrally deployed seconds hand, is in red, which provides a beautiful contrast and quite a cool, fiery look to the watch. This is 116509. I still remember quite vividly the advertisements that featured this watch with Roger Federer. This is from 2006. Once again, you have a piece in decent condition. In this case, no papers, just a presentation box, a hang tag, and some additional links. The piece is right there at the same price point, $32,000 at the low end of that estimate. Welcome, everyone. Please hit the like button while you're at it. It really helps. It really does make a whole world of difference for a small channel. So upvote. If this is your first time on the channel, I'm here every day with watch content, so feel free to subscribe and explore earlier videos that I've done, which are not limited to live shows, live streams. We're looking today at the Bonhams Hong Kong auction, which is coming up on May 30th. And it will start as a live event at 2:30 p.m. local time. I've covered this, a lot of it last night. Hopefully, I will get through it tonight. And we are practically right in the middle. And I'm looking at 5160 line 1A. This is the stainless steel Patek Philippe Aquanaut on the matching bracelets. I've never been a huge fan of the bracelet for these, but your mileage may vary. You have that late 90s design in a jumbo case, a 40 millimeter. I've always been told that Laurent Ferrier was behind the derivation of the Aquanaut from the Nautilus. And I'm guessing it's right because he was at that time the head of the creations department, basically the head of the design department. Of course, with the 5167, you get the exhibition case back for the self-winding caliber. Full gold rotor weight. Those notches, and that carries the Calatrava cross. And you're getting the full set of the documents as well as the additional links. This is the 5167 line 1A, meaning it does come on its matching bracelets. This is the Aquanaut in stainless steel, the Aquanaut Jumbo in stainless steel, with its original box, papers, and literature. The piece has a pre-auction estimate that is in excess of 25,500 in US dollars, but expected to go for much more. In the next lot, which is 875, we're looking at the pink gold version of this watch. For all intents and purposes, exactly the same watch, except in pink gold with a gradient brown version of that Globescape dial with its unique pattern, which is, in an important sense, matched with the design with the waffle-like design on the brown Tropic strap. I think that is actually a really cool way of achieving a kind of integrated look on a watch that is presented on a rubber band. I really appreciate that. Of course, the rubber band sits absolutely flush um, with the case and the lugs. That's also an added advantage. And of course, you get that extra heft and a double folding dépliant clasp, which carries the Calatrava cross as an emblem once it's closed, and the original box, papers, and other documents. This particular piece is estimated to go for at least 48,500 US dollars. Thank you, JB. Thank you so much. Yes, I have. I think it was right before you came that I went through that. Um, you don't need to send in another super chat, but try to elaborate your question a little bit, because I can just go with my personal preference and tell you this or that is the one that I like most, or I can give you one that I think provides the best value. I think in either case, I'm stuck between two, so I might as well go ahead before you specify your answer. Um, I think I would either go with 871 or 873. In this auction setting, I would actually sideline 873 because there are already great uh, deals on 116509 with the racing dial. Um, if you want gold Rolex Daytona on the matching bracelets, the best way of getting the best deal, the best price, is to hunt for the ones that have Arabic dials. They just simply don't strike the right chord with the average collector. I don't know why. I think they are actually cooler, but that's just me. That's just personal preference. But I really like this. It is in good condition. But in an auction setting where the lower end of the estimate is already around 32 and a half, I think, or at least $32,000, 250K in Hong Kong dollars. That's already a lot of money. I mean, you can get some of these on Chrono 24 even, which has, as you know, half the time very inflated prices. Like if you wanted to get one today, you could literally just go and pick one up around $30,000 anyways. So why deal with an auction when it comes to the Arabic dial? So if we are talking about this specific auction, let's sideline that, although I highly recommend the white gold Cosmograph Daytonas with the Arabic dials. 116509 just happens to be my favorite reference as well, because I like the white metal look, especially in precious metal, as much as I cherish stainless steel. So with that being said, I would actually say 871. The one I would choose to own is 873, the Arabic dial one. The one I would recommend from this auction, because it's the full set, because it is the one that's a little harder to get, although still, even with these, there are decent deals on the secondary markets that you can find, and you can negotiate yourself an even better one. But within this auction, I would probably lean more heavily towards this one, um, the one that has the silver panda configuration. And honestly, those have already scaled back to high 30s from the heights they had gone previously. But there's something about those two white gold pieces that I really like. Yeah. And yes, personally, I would go for 873. Specifically out of this auction, I would go with 871. 876 is again one of our personal favorites, a personal favorite for JB and me. This is the Patek Philippe World Time Flyback Chronograph 5930G in a 39 millimeter white gold case with a beautiful blue guilloche center dial, a two-tone 24-hour ring with the silver gray for morning hours, for the day hours, with the navy blue or midnight blue for the night hours, for the dark hours. You also get a seconds track that is calibrated to show 1/5 of a second that encircles the 24-hour ring, and then you have the cities ring, of course, that still has Hong Kong. And you get this bullhorn kind of look thanks to the chronograph, where you have the pusher at 10 o'clock to cycle through the time zones, and then you have the two pushers, start, stop, and reset on the right flank of the case, flanking the crown. And of course, since this is a flyback chronograph, you actually don't have to stop the chronograph if you want to time two intervals in quick succession. So you can start and immediately press the reset, and the chronograph will snap back to 0 and continue running. You have the single digit, single register at 6 o'clock for a 30-minute totalizer, which again is set off beautifully with that subtle guilloche decoration that is applied in circular or radial fashion. Different shades of blue prominently displayed on the face of the watch, and of course the silver gray accents blending beautifully with the 39 millimeter white gold case. This particular piece, of course, unlike the solo world times of Patek Philippe being built on micro rotor self-winding calibers, this one has a self-winding caliber with a full rotor because, of course, it is based on the CH28, which is Patek's in-house integrated self-winding flyback chronograph movement that was first featured in the 5960, which combined annual calendar with the flyback chronograph function. But here in 5930, it's just as impressive and just as Patek. As you see, it is matched with a déployant clasp in 18 karat white gold that carries the Calatrava cross, and a deep navy alligator strap with large rectangular scales. This is the Patek Philippe World Time Flyback Chronograph in white gold, currently discontinued and replaced by the obnoxiously large 5935A in stainless steel with the salmon dial. I much prefer this example we have at lot 876. This particular piece is from 2018, and at the low end, the pre-auction estimate places the value of this watch right around 23,000 US dollars. This can be an interesting target. Speaking of the 5960, we have here one of the most popular versions. The black dial was introduced in 2017 and discontinued in 2018. So for that limited production run, it's not only rare, it is also heavily premiumized. It is sold at a significant premium on the secondary market. I think as much as I like the 5960G as well, this particular watch I find to be a sweet spot. The 5960 Line 1A, stainless steel on the matching 5-row beads of rice bracelet, white opaline white dial with blackened white gold fixtures, the three aperture that display the calendrical functions, lovely framed in that lovely way that matches that blackened accents. You also have 12-hour counter, a 30-minute totalizer, and the running seconds fit into a single register. Power reserve indicator at 12 o'clock and a day-night indicator at 6. This piece, this reference point was introduced, this reference number was introduced in 2006. And that was the 10th, not only the 10th anniversary of Patek's introduction of the annual calendar, which was their proprietary complication, which was something that they brought into the horological world. And that was their way of basically bringing the perpetual calendar complication into the mortal world. Here, you basically have the 12-hour counter and then a 60-minute totalizer, right? That is actually a single red hand. But since this is a vertical clutch column wheel chronograph, there's no there's no pressing need for a small seconds dial, so you can actually let the chronograph run without added friction or pressure to the movements, and that is also of course, a fire red hand that is centrally deployed. Once again, you have a flyback chronograph, start, stop, and reset, start, reset, rather than start, stop, reset, and start when you actually want to time two intervals in quick succession. I like the 5960 not only because it combines those two utilitarian complications in a single neat package. That is, of course, important, but also because it presents something quite important in terms of Patek's history as well, in terms of the trajectory I just described. 5960 was first introduced on the 10th anniversary of the annual calendar. It combined its for the first time, and it introduced for the first time this integrated self-winding flyback chronograph movement by Patek Philippe that was produced in-house. So you have basically the 21st century equivalent in a way of the 1518, which is of course a very special watch and which was the first serially produced perpetual calendar hand-wound chronograph in its time. And this particular piece in its own way is how that tradition of combining those sorts of complications for everyday use continues in Patek Philippe. 5960 was unfortunately discontinued fully in 2018. In stainless steel. And in 2021, the white gold version was discontinued as well, which nixed the entire line. But this, on the secondary market at least, if not necessarily in this auction, this particular piece offers a very interesting deal indeed. Lot 877 has at the low end of the estimates price point that is in excess of 35,750 US dollars. That was lot 877. $59.05 is what replaced 5960. This is the platinum version. As you can see, you have something that's even larger. The great thing about 5960 was also its size, which was very sporty, 40.5 in case diameter. And it also was right around 13.5 millimeters in thickness. So quite a wearable watch, but the 5905P that replaced it has a much larger case at 42 and a single 60 minutes totalizer at 6 o'clock, which I think is not as cool as that doubled crosshair like combo. This is still a cool watch, but in my opinion, not as interesting as the 5960 that has preceded it. But this is 5905-001 platinum with sunburst blue dial, annual calendar flyback chronograph with a matching Patek Philippe tank buckle and with the full set of its documents from 2017. This particular piece has a pre-auction estimate which sets its value at its low end at around 38,300 in US dollars. At 879, you have a watch that offers one of the best deals into the world of Patek Philippe perpetual calendars. This is the 5040G. You can get even better deals in 5040J, meaning in yellow gold. Here we have that tonneau-shaped case that resembles, of course, in a significant sense, Cartier Tortue, here in white gold, with a beautiful silver dial, applied Breguet numerals with matching hands in the Breguet house style, which is apple-shaped, or pomme, as the French call it. 3 subdials. The 3 o'clock one is dedicated to the indication of the month and the leap year. The 9 o'clock shows you the day of the week and has an additional 24-hour hand, which serves as a day and night indicator, ever so subtly divided between a silver and champagne tinted half. And at 6 o'clock, you have a pointer date, which encircles the opening for the moon phase indicator. The case is 35 millimeter by 42.5, so quite wearable and very dressy. And the movement is actually built on caliber 240, the micro rotor caliber that was designed by Gérard Perret, who was recruited from Université Genève into Patek Philippe. And this particular version has the seal of Geneva on one of its bridges, as you can see, since it is actually finished, assembled, and regulated according to the highest standards that you can expect from a watch that bears that hallmark. It has the matching déployant clasp in white gold with the Calatrava cross from 2008. The piece is also presented with the appropriate presentation box. Lot 879 has a pre-auction estimate, which is in excess of 24,250 in US dollars. At lot 880, we are looking at a watch that was quite underappreciated in its time. Everyone was going for the classic black-blue gradient dial for the Nautilus. And this polar white was in so many ways underappreciated. This is the 5711 line 1A. The modern Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in stainless steel on its integrated bracelets with the polar white dial, blackened fixtures, including the hands, the date at 8 o'clock. Of course, this is no longer the case. You can say that the polar white dial is now still underappreciated. It is also slightly more rare than the blue. This particular example at lot 880 comes with its box and papers as well as the original documents. And it has a pre-auction estimate that places its value in excess of 57,450 US dollars, but it will probably go for more than that. That was lot 880 for the polar white Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo. Again, at 881, we have a version of the Nautilus that was quite underappreciated in its time, 5712. Here we have the R in pink gold, the brown dial, and presented on a leather strap with the matching déployant clasp. The micro rotor movement and the asymmetric dial makes it a connoisseur's choice, so to speak. It was quite niche and a little divisive when it first came out as 3712. Arguably, the first Nautilus with a complication, even though 3710 preceded it by some years, with simply featuring a power reserve indicator at 12 o'clock, the so-called Comet, the Nautilus 3710. But if I have something to do with it, the 3712 is a much more genuinely complicated piece. 5712 replaced it in 1 year, being introduced in 2006 at the 30th anniversary of the design. Here in precious metal, pink gold with the brown dial, off-center seconds between 4 and 5 o'clock. Between 6 and 8 o'clock, you have a large pointer date, which encircles the aperture for the moon phase indicator. And between 10 and 11 o'clock, you have the fan-like scale for a power reserve indicator. The piece does come with the full set of its accessories. That includes the box and papers, as well as the instruction manual, related literature, and the setting pin. And lot number 881, which is for a 5712R Patek Philippe Nautilus moon phase in pink gold, has a pre-auction estimate which places its value right around 51,000 in US dollars. At 882, we have the two-tone Patek Philippe Nautilus 5980 line 1 AR, acier and rosé, or acier and rose, I should say. This is the Nautilus flyback chronograph in stainless steel and with pink gold accents, which include the porthole-like bezel, of course, the fixtures on the dial, the polished center links of the bracelets, as well as the crown and the chronograph pushers that flank it. The date is framed at 3 o'clock. And you also have that crosshair style single register, which has the 60 minutes totalizer at the outside in that unique scale that divides it into 2.5 hours to 30-minute sequences, and that encircles a smaller frame, a smaller register for the 12-hour totalizer. The two hands are practically stacked on each other, so it's hard to see sometimes. And you have a centrally deployed chronograph seconds hand, which you can use as your continuously running seconds hand as well, since the column wheel vertical clutch mechanism doesn't introduce additional friction or pressure on the movement. This piece has been extremely popular. I know Big Meech has been pining for one for quite some time now. This particular example comes with its full set of accessories, box, papers, setting pin, and other accompanying documents. Of course, you have a look at the CH28 movement from the case back with the full gold rotor, which is decorated with Côte de Genève circulaire, just like the bridge plates of the caliber. This is lot 882, a Patek Philippe Nautilus flyback chronograph in a two-tone execution, stainless steel and pink gold. The reference number is 5980 line 1AR. And at the low end, the pre-auction estimates places the value of this watch at around 63,840 US dollars. At lot 886, we probably have the absolute highlight of this auction. This is the famous Tiffany Blue 5711, the Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo in its modern iteration, which was produced in 170 examples as part of its victory lap before it was retired, and to commemorate specifically 170 years of partnership between the New York-based house Tiffany and Company and the Genevan watchmaker Patek Philippe. The dial is uniquely painted, lacquered in Tiffany blue, and has those blackened fixtures for a little bit of contrast. The sapphire caseback 2 is remarking this important occasion, 170th anniversary, 1855, 2021. LVMH, Moet Hennessy, Louis Vuitton is hiding right there in the one of 2021, since by then they were the owners of the New York-based house, Tiffany and Company. The apocryphal story behind the conception of this watch is that Bernard Arnault, who is now the richest man in the world, I think still, and who is leading the LVMH luxury conglomerates, presented the Stern family, presented Thierry Stern with an offer that he couldn't refuse for Patek Philippe. Thierry Stern refused it and presented him with this opportunity instead, saying, let us, commemorate and cherish our collaboration that goes back 170 years. And here's something you can offer to your most exclusive VVIP clients. I kind of like that as a gesture. I don't know if the story is true or a complete urban myth. In either case, it's a good story. I like remembering it. This is the 5711 line 1A 018, the modern Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo, all in stainless steel with the Tiffany blue dial that is double signed by Patek Philippe Genève at 12 o'clock and Tiffany and Company at 6 o'clock. Naturally, the piece comes with the maker's presentation box, Tiffany and Company's outer box, the certificate of origin, instruction manual, and related literatures. Refer to the Department for Estimates. It says, my guess is that it will probably go for something between 2 to 2.5 million in US dollars. I highly doubt it would go for much higher than that. But then again, when it comes to something like this, everything really depends on who ends up actually being in the room, who wants to compete with whom. No one can divine into the future, of course, but I expect it to be closer to 2 million than 2.5, and probably not much, not well above that. This is the 886A, the Patek Philippe Nautilus 5711-1A-018, the Tiffany Blue Nautilus Jumbo that was made to commemorate the 170th anniversary of the collaboration between the two houses and released in 2021 in December. At lot 892, we are looking at the IWC pilot's chronograph. As you can probably tell already from the bull's head configuration with the additional pusher at 10 o'clock, this is actually a doppelchronograph, a rattrapante or split-second chronograph. all in stainless steel with a matching old school beads of rice bracelets in a 5-row configuration, a 42 millimeter case with Arabic numerals, a triangle at 12 o'clock, and with lozenge or diamond shaped hands that are generously loomed. You have the 2 chronograph hands, of course, that operate together until you split by engaging the pusher at 10 o'clock, which lets you get an intermediary reading by splitting the 2 chronograph hands, which you can then let catch up, which you can connect together by engaging it again. 30-minute totalizer at 12 o'clock, 12-hour counter at 6, continuous running seconds at 9, and a day date at 3 o'clock. This is the IWC Spitfire double chronograph. As I mentioned just last night, it was Richard Habring, who was then a protege of Kurt Klaus in the technical department of IWC. It was Habring who came up with the module that derived from the Valjoux 7750 base, a split-second chronograph that was easy to produce in serial fashion, relatively low in cost to repair, and therefore also much more accessible for the customer. This is, of course, a much later example from 2010 of an IWC Pilot's Chrono Spitfire with the reference number 3713. And at lot 892, the piece has an estimated value that's right around 2,800 in US dollars. At 893, we have another IWC chronograph, but this one is actually a limited edition number in the Portuguese case, 41 millimeters in pink gold with an anthracite gray dial, 2 silver chronograph registers, one for a 30-minute totalizer at 12 and one for the continuous running seconds at 6. This is apparently one of 250 pieces made for the Jackie Chan Charitable Foundation as a special engraving on the back commemorating that collaboration. Matching pink gold tang buckle, the presentation box, warranty card, as well as a biography and a CD from Jackie Chan. Again, this is a pink gold Portuguese chronograph in a 41 millimeter case, and the 12/6 o'clock chronograph layout, that pearl track for minutes, and silvered chapter ring for 1/5 of a second. That is lots 893. And the pre-auction estimates places the value of this watch in excess of 7,000 US dollars. Hey, brother.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, I miss you already, man. How are you?
I'm good. I just had a little bit of a bad sleep, so I just woke up from my other patch of sleep, and I'm doing well right
Okay.
now. Thank you.
Okay. Good. I was just
Yeah,
gonna ask, did you sleep well? But at least you made up for it. So
yeah,
all good.
yeah. You doing good?
Great. Great. Even better now that you're here.
You're looking great. I love your shirt. I love the this type of lines like
Yeah, it's a little,
vertical. Yeah.
yeah, it might be, it's a little pajama like, but I'm at home anyway, so it doesn't it doesn't
Yeah, you
matter.
can wear. Listen, I want to retract something you said yesterday. You said that you have something coming next week.
Yes, I do. I'm actually gonna set up an unboxing for Wednesday, I
Oh,
think,
next Wednesday.
because I think it's gonna be here by Wednesday.
Is it okay? Can you say anything about it?
Yes, I can say something about it. It's going to be okay. I'll say at least two things about it, and maybe you can get more out of me. Um, it's a bracelet watch. I'll say three things. It's a bracelet watch. It's a complication that I don't have on my in my collection, and it's not a Rolex. So these are the three tips that I can give.
Okay.
It's a bracelet
Um,
watch, not a Rolex, and it's a complication that I don't have in my collection.
well, we'll try to work with it. I'll tell you what I found.
Okay. You'll take the next 2 hours to figure this out.
I don't
Why not?
really know your collection status, so I don't know what you. I know you have a GMT, so it's not a Rolex, as you said. So
Perfect. No, that already eliminates things. It's you can say it's not a chronograph, it's not a GMT, um, it's not a triple calendar or something like that. Something I'm wearing today. The tricompacts.
yeah. Oh man, it's beautiful. I love that one. I love the hands on it. It's
Right?
so yeah.
The diamond shaped or lozenge shaped pieces. Yeah, makes it look so sporty.
Wow. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
like
I'm just trying to sell a watch right now and I'm getting messages about it, so I'm kind of multitasking.
that's quite all right. I saw your ad, and I'm glad you're
Yeah.
putting the Discord to good use.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna make some coffee right now, so
Of course,
you proceed with your stuff.
by all means, man. And feel free to take us to the kitchen if you would like, as you have done
Uh,
previously. But
yeah, I need to get on my phone. It's next time.
okay,
Okay, you keep looking at watches.
all right, man. So we were looking at this limited edition Portuguese IWC chronograph in an 18 karat pink gold 41 millimeter case made for the Jackie Chan Charitable Foundation. And the pre auction estimates was at the low end, slightly above 7,000 US dollars. $894. We talked about this watch very quickly. towards the end of the last broadcast last night on the live stream, but I want to say a few more things. IWC's Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar Chronograph is a product of a philosophy that Günther Blümlein led as the leader in Les Manufactures Horlogères, which included in its body IWC, JLC, and later A. In the way that it was revived in the early part of the 90s and introduced its first quartet of watches in 1994. But especially IWC focused on this project. I mentioned that in 1985, when they introduced the Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar, they became only the second manufacturer to produce a perpetual calendar chronograph serially. In 1992, Richard Habring, just like Kurt Klaus, came up with his module on the basis of Valjoux 7750, that ever-present, that workhorse chronograph caliber. Richard Habring came up with a module on the base of the Valjoux 7750 for a split-second chronograph. And in 1995, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the introduction of the Da Vinci Perpetual Calendar, they introduced this, the reference 3751, which is a perpetual calendar, split-second chronograph, and it has one hand for each of the years, each of the 10 years. It is a beautiful piece that also has a 4-digit expression of the year, in addition to being a 3-register self-winding chronograph, a perpetual calendar with a moon phase indicator.
Oh, sorry.
What happened?
No, my computer is making WhatsApp noises. No.
No. I mean, there was a beep beep at some point, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. And yeah, so it has the 3 registers for the chronograph. It has, of course, a perpetual calendar with a moon phase indicator at 12 o'clock, which is, I think, a beautiful execution in the sense it makes for a great focal point for the watch. And of course, you have that additional pusher at 10 o'clock to split the 2 chronograph seconds hands that are both centrally deployed. I'm a huge fan of the design to begin with. That stepped bezel on a beautiful round case with the hooded lugs here in yellow gold. I know for a fact that there were only 500 pieces produced in platinum. I believe the yellow gold was also a limited edition. This is number 615. And the proportions of the watch are great as well, because it's a 39 millimeter piece in terms of the diameter. But with its 16.5 millimeter thickness, the perpetual calendar chrono, the reference 3750, was only no, it should be, it's I think it's under 15 millimeters, in fact. Yeah, it should be under 15 millimeters as far as I know, but it's a nice hunk of metal in either case. This is from year 1999, and to this day still provides one of the best deals in this category. The 3750 is a great option for a perpetual calendar chronograph, especially in stainless steel. You can even find that under $10,000. If you can go a little bit up, you can get precious metal pieces, even of this split second perpetual calendar. Pardon me, even this perpetual calendar split second chronograph in yellow gold, um, for the platinum, which is a lot more exclusive, you might have to go a little further up to around $25,000. But again, it is a serious complication and not to be sneezed at, honestly, especially in terms of what IWC achieved in the context of first the mid 80s and then the mid 90s, before high horology was all the rage and something that was at least vaguely known in the mainstream. I think it's quite important, quite respectable. This is lot number 894, which at the low end of the estimates has a value in excess of 9,500. Do you want to? Do you already have enough interest this, or would you like to bring up your watch on the show?
Which
Maybe
watch?
someone would be the one you're selling.
Oh, I just sold it,
Oh, you did? Okay.
but there it
All
is.
right. No, let me see.
Wait, let me put a book. Where's the book? Ah, here's the book.
Oh, okay. Oh,
No.
I like that bracelet. Oh,
Oh yeah,
this is
it's
great. All right.
70s. There it is. The
Very
70s
cool.
bracelet.
I like the hands. I like the markers. The cushion shaped case, the bracelet. It's a cool vibe. What is the brand again?
Alsta.
Alsta.
Yeah, does that mean anything?
Not to me.
So this is called it's called the Jaws watch because it wasn't Jaws, you know.
Uh huh.
Um, Richard Dreyfuss, who played Matt Hooper in this in the marine biologist in the movie, he
Hmm.
wore it, and it became famous that way because Jaws, as you know, as everybody knows, was the ultimate movie blockbuster. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I bought it because of that, because it's a revival brand. You know, it's a brand that revived itself and is
Hmm.
making all kinds of movies, watches. But the main watch that it's making is this Jaws watch, which is the exact, replica or repetition of what Matt Hooper wrote in Jaws. Uh, so I bought it like on a whim, and well, actually, I wanted it for a while, but because I love Jaws. I think Jaws is like one of the most important and amazing movies ever made.
Hmm.
Uh, I think it's just so good. So to have the Jaws watch, even though I don't go into the sea because of Jaws, it's a dive watch. Still, just to have it, you know. But when it came and I unboxed it, it was like, oh man, that's not what I want. It's too small. It doesn't
Is it?
feel. It has NH35 movement.
Hmm.
It cost like when they released it, it cost 1K, 1K bucks.
Okay.
It's over expensive, overpriced. Uh, Not my type of watch. I thought it would be because the cushion case, like you said, and the hands and the nice
Hmm.
fatina, but nah.
And Did you sell it at a good price for you? Yeah.
Yes, I lost a little bit, but I just want to get rid of it, so I don't care. I lost a little bit on what I sold bought it for, but I can't flip it. I can't make profit on it because it's not it's not a Rolex or a watch that has been discontinued.
Of
So
course.
I'm just I lost like man 100 shekels. It's okay, just a little bit of money.
Yeah.
The idea is
The
to just sell.
of course, Rolex used Peter Benchley quite heavily in their advertisements at some point, who was the original writer for Jaws.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has very good copy. This is this features a gold sub, of course, with the nipple dial, which apparently Peter Benchley himself wore, the 1680.
Yeah.
When Peter Benchley's Jaws was filmed, it broke all box office records as the most successful motion picture in history. Now, the film of Benchley's latest best selling novel, The Deep, has set new standards for realism and excitement in underwater action photography. Shot on location around the coral encrusted wreck of the Royal Mail ship Ron off the British Virgin Islands and off Bermuda. Nearly half the film takes place beneath the ocean's surface. Altogether, cast and crew spent 10,780 man hours underwater. And like Peter Benchley, the watch every one of them wore was a Rolex Submariner. Regarded
Yeah.
as standard equipment by divers throughout the world, Rolex Submariner is a superb example of Swiss craftsmanship. It's an officially certified Swiss chronometer, indispensable for people whose lives depend on perfect timing. I love this kind of purple prose in vintage advertisements. The oyster
Yeah.
case and crystal are completely proof against water. Further pressure merely increases the efficiency of the seal, and the twin lock winding crown actually screws down onto the case like a submarine hatch. Much of the action in the deep happens 30 meters below the surface, but if Peter Benchley cares to go deeper, still in search of his next adventure, his Rolex Submariner will not be troubled. It's guaranteed to a depth of 200 meters.
That's good copy.
Yeah. And I think this is pretty cool because it's also an advertisement that kind of symbolizes, I think, with its inclusion of the gold sub, with Peter Benchley as the ambassador for it, this transition from tool watch to something that is created for creative professionals, like someone like Peter Benchley, who is both a writer and an explorer, right? So it's I think it's very indicative of Rolex's own transition by and large from a brand that mostly made timekeeping instruments for specific kind of activities to a brand that focused on creating luxury goods.
Yeah, that's interesting. Analysis. Ah,
Thank you,
sorry,
man.
I'm still waking up.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, I'm just still sleepy.
We have a number of interesting Patek Philippe here that I missed because I was angry at seeing the Richard Mille. We have the 5711 Line 1R. which is the pink gold with the gradient brown dial of the Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo, which comes with the full set of its original accessories, and at lot 883 it has a pre-auction estimate which puts its value in excess of 102,000 US dollars. 884 is what we looked at, 882, but in its pure stainless steel iteration, the Nautilus flyback chronograph 5980 line 1A with the blue dial and that crosshair style single chronograph register that serves at once as a 12-hour counter and a 60-minute totalizer with two distinct hands, with the 60 minutes divided into two halves in concentric circles. Built on the CH28 in-house self-winding integrated flyback chronograph movement. And that particular piece has a pre-auction estimate that is almost 64,000 US dollars. There are a lot of interesting jewelry pieces. I don't know if anyone would like to take a look at them. I'm just going to drop the link again in the chat. So if you want me to pull up any of the particular lots, feel free to let me know. At 920, lot number 926, we're looking at the first generation of the Vacheron Constantin overseas chronograph. This is the reference number 49140. It is still built on the Frédéric Piguet 1185 base with continuous running seconds at 6, a 30-minute totalizer at 3, and a 12-hour counter at 9 o'clock, an oversized date indicator at 12. And you also have these oversized and stylized Arabic numerals, which are also loomed for a military dial kind of look. You have that first generation of the integrated bracelet, which is not as invested in that Maltese cross motif. And you have that overseas logo on the back. This is a nice waterproof piece, also sporty piece with 15 atmos of a depth rating, 150 meters of water resistance, 40 millimeter case. And I think 12.5 millimeters thick. These actually offer a great deal. I would rather go with the second generation, which I think also has the better bracelets compared to the first one. You will be looking at 59,150 when you look onto the next generation, but this is quite a cool piece as well and potentially a great deal, because at the lower end, the estimate, the pre-auction estimate, is right around 10,200 in US dollars. That's the Vacheron Constantin first generation overseas chronograph, reference 49140, with a black military dial in stainless steel on the integrated bracelets. How's your coffee? This?
I just finished it. I'm going to bring it back to the kitchen, if you don't mind. Ugh.
Not at all. 927. We're looking at another version of the overseas. This is the overseas world time. The reference number is 7700V from 2013. The case is slightly bigger than the regular time and date version. I think it's a little larger than 43 millimeters, in fact. You have an engraved dial in the middle and a cities ring right around it, and a 24-hour ring encircles the cities ring with a seconds track on the very perimeter of the dial. This particular piece, all in stainless steel and with two sets of interchangeable straps, rubber and leather, comes with a full set of its accompanying accessories. The case is apparently 43.5 millimeters long. You get the presentation box, the certificate, warranty card, the two spare straps, one additional deployant buckle, two swing tags, and the USB. The pre-auction estimate of the watch is in excess of 25,500 US dollars at the low end. This is lot 927, the Vacheron Constantin overseas world time, reference 7700 V in stainless steel, with the pre-auction estimates at its low end more than 25,500 in US dollars.
Man, I can't wake up. What will I do? What do I do? What do I do?
We have to go to Mookie's channel to hear that. Can we?
Yeah.
I
You have
don't
to
know.
see
Do
the.
I have the permission?
Of course you can. Yeah, I believe so. I mean, I don't. I can't say for certain. But damn, I'm feeling sleepy, man. I hate it. I hate it.
What do I do? What do I do?
I'm stuck in the airport of hell.
At 929, we have an earlier generation of the Patek Philippe Aquanaut from 2008. It's a quartz movement 2 at 36 millimeters. As you can see, the dial has
Wow,
more.
that's beautiful.
You prefer the older version of the dial
This one is
and the
like it, it has military vibes to me.
right, because it looks like a grenade, right, on the dial.
Yeah, like a grenade, but it's mostly the indices and the hands and the the numbers, the Arabic numbers.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that, certainly. I think the older generations of the Aquanaut certainly have a different feel. Um, the bracelet is The rubber bands are designed, the tropical straps are designed in a different way, more to resemble kind of a chocolate bar. The dial looks like a grenade and has this, military slash field watch kind of look.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
Ugh.
This
It reminds
particular
me of
piece
the
is
old Omegas.
ah
Yeah. Maybe I'm just mistaken, but it reminds me of old Omegas, like you know.
like you mean the let me see if I can find like the Dirty Dozen Omega kind of thing, like the
If you can
military.
find it, then I'll tell you. Yeah. Let me search for my. I have something similar from HMT from the. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, something
I
like
can
that.
I
Yeah.
can see that.
I like it.
I can see that certainly. So lot 926 is a 5064A in stainless steel, 36 millimeter case on the tropical strap, but with a quartz movement. This piece has a pre-auction estimate that is right around 23,000 US dollars. At 931, we have an example of the reduced size Patek Philippe Nautilus. This is the generation that followed the Jumbo, the 3700, the 3800. The reduced size version had a case diameter around 37.5 millimeters, and it was relatively popular in the 90s. Here you have an example of it in gold on its integrated bracelet with the classic blue-black gradient dial. Dates at 3 o'clock and a centrally deployed second sand, sweep center second sand, which was not present in the original Jumbo, in the reference 3700. It's a very beautiful piece and relatively rare as well.
Yeah. Just a second.
At lots 931, we have an estimate that places the value of the watch at least right around 48,500 in US dollars.
There, I found it.
You did.
Yeah, I found what I wanted to show you.
Nice.
Nice. Uh, can you put me on maximum screen, please?
Maximum to 11. Up to 11, man. Come on. Let's go. Nice.
That's an HMT. Wait, that's an HMT that is based on some kind of Omega from the 50s or 40s even. I think so. I'm not sure. Maybe. Do you know HMT watches?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just a nice little watch. Citizen movement. Not a diver, but looks like a diver. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It does look like a Railmaster of some sort. Omega
Oh yeah, you're
Railmaster.
right. It's like a Railmaster. It looks like a Railmaster. Let me put it on. Let's just set it.
Put it on
Now,
this. Put it on.
now it's 8:41. Every time I hear that voice, I think of Marco.
It's supposed to be Marco, no?
I think so. Put it up, Arch. Put it up. Put it up, Lord. Put it up. What did I do? What did I do? What did I do, Arch? What do I do?
Oh my god, that was heart wrenching. I wasn't happy to see that at all. The
No, it wasn't. It was.
I
It
didn't
was.
even know the guy, but like the whole thing about his friend passing away.
Yeah, but it was fake, so it's nothing to be said about.
Oh, quite to the contrary, I think. But you're right on an important level.
Yeah, well,
There's much to be
it
said
says
about,
he
but
did it.
not in that way. Yeah.
So let's see how it wears on my wrist. It's very nice. It's a 37 or something, 38 or 37.
Nice. I like the
I'll
look.
wear it for a while. I love it. It's so, yeah. It's cheap. Like it's like 30 bucks or something. It's nothing.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's a very cool watch for a $30 piece.
yeah. But it's not accurate at all, and it's not. You catch my drift. It's
I mean, look, I love my Seiko SKXs, as you know, and they're not known for being accurate either. So
yeah,
I'm
of
fine.
course.
So this is again a very important, nice piece from the auction, lot 932, the original Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo, reference 3700, in stainless steel on the integrated bracelet, retailed and co-signed by Tiffany and Company. As you can see, the font is a little bit different than the modern one. This is a piece from 1982.
Wow, that's great. No seconds hand.
Yeah, since it's built on the original Jaeger de Coutre 920 caliber, just like the original Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, right? That didn't have a second scent either. And AP actually kept making the jumbos without second scent up until today, right? The 16202
Yeah.
doesn't have a.
Hey, Lord, I have to bounce. Maybe I'll be back in later on. Okay.
Of course, I understand, man. No worries.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm sorry I have to go so briefly. I just have to talk with my friend, the one you talked to earlier. Special K.
Of course, of course. Take your time, man. Send my
Okay.
regards as well, please.
I will. I will indeed. And so have a good rest of the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, my friend. Take care.
See ya. Bye bye. Peace. Peace.
Thank you, man. Thank you, this, for being here. Thank you for joining the panel. You're always too kind to come and visit me, to come and talk to me, and to share your watches. I always appreciate you, my friend. We are looking right now at the Bonhams Hong Kong auction that's going to take place on May 30th. The auction is a live event starting at 2:30 p.m. local time. And we are looking at one of the centerpieces of the auction, lot 932, which is an original Patek Philippe Nautilus Jumbo, the reference 3700, designed by Gérald Janta, released by Patek Philippe in 1976. This particular example is from 1982 and has that classic horizontally ribbed black-blue gradient dial that is co-signed by Tiffany and Company at 6 o'clock, which retailed it in 1982. The pre-auction estimates at the lower end is 1.4 million Hong Kong dollars, which is roughly around 178,076, sorry, 178,766 US dollars. Very interesting piece at lot 934. But before we get to that, I think I'm going to take a short break with your permission. Take a look at lot 934, which is a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar 3945 line 1G, a perpetual calendar on a matching integrated white gold bracelet by Patek Philippe. I'll be right back. I'm back. Thank you for your patience. We're looking at lot 934. Please hit the like button, by the way, if you haven't done so already. If you have enjoyed the show so far, if you have learned something from it, I would appreciate it. It's very generous of you. And it is still for free to hit the like button. We're looking at the 3945, which is much like the 3940. It's family member, so to speak, a perpetual calendar in a 36 millimeter case. Here, the case is perfectly round and has this sort of domed bezel, a beaded track with obus-shaped indices for the hours, Dauphine hands, a pointer date at 6 o'clock, which encircles the moon phase indicator. At 9 o'clock, you have the day and an additional 24-hour hand, and the leap year indicator, which is encircled by the month, occupies the 3 o'clock. heat blued hands for that date and month, and you have an integrated kind of mesh style bracelet in matching white gold. This piece is from 1988, of course, built on that micro rotor caliber, self-winding 240Q with the 22 carats gold micro rotor. The piece has an estimated value which at its low end is in excess of 25,500 in US dollars. Lot 935 is a Patek Philippe annual calendar in platinum. This is a very cool piece again. .37mm case with a gray starburst dial, applied Roman numerals, and a set of leaf-shaped hands, which are all filled with luminous material. You have a power reserve indicator, which is quite discreet at 12 o'clock. You have an aperture for the date at 6 o'clock. You have another opening for the moon phase indicator above the signature Patek Philippe at 6 o'clock. The day of the week at 9 o'clock and the month at 3 o'clock. Centrally deployed, a sweep seconds hand in white, which provides very nice visibility, railroad track for the minutes and seconds. At the periphery of the dial, you have an exhibition case back, which provides a full view of the self-winding caliber with a full gold rotor. And you get a tank buckle in matching platinum as well. This is a piece from 2003. You see that beautiful earlier wooden presentation box with a very rich maroon / burgundy like color. The certificate of origin, product literature, a leather folder to hold the documents, as well as the setting pin is included in the package, presented in the slot number 935 for a platinum Patek Philippe annual calendar from 2003 with the reference number 5056P. We have a pre-auction estimate that is in excess of 25,500 in US dollars. Yeah, for once, right? I don't know if you guys paid attention, but JB certainly did. A lot of times, and this is a tradition that has been pretty much part of watchmaking design language for the longest time, that uses 4 sticks for 4 in Roman numerals. Obviously, that's simply wrong. In Roman numerals, you write 5 with a single stick preceding the V, right? Because you subtract 1 by placing it to the left of the V, which has the numerical value 5. But in this case, it is actually the proper one. Usually, the 4 sticks are used to provide a certain kind of visual balance, because to the modern eye, at least, it looks a little confusing between the, especially when there is also 6, right? So it would be a little confusing, but here it somehow, it seems like it works. It seems like it works, but it's properly written. Yeah. At 9:36, we have once again one of my favorites from basically the year in which it was discontinued, the 5960G. This is the Patek Philippe annual calendar flyback chronograph, which has a look of its own, just like the stainless steel version had the bracelet, had the matching 5-row beads of rice bracelet. The 5960G in white gold is designed to integrate a couple of elements. One, thanks to its strap, which has this contrast stitching, and its unique buckle. You have the unique look that gives it the kind of feel of a pilot's watch. You have that nicely textured blue dial, which goes really well with both the gray and red contrasts. And finally, the chronograph pushers kind of speak back to the iconic Patek Philippe hand-wound chronograph reference 1463, namely the Tasti Tondi, which had these round pushers, the pump pushers, with these guilloche decorated conical tops. It's a beautiful piece which enhances the feel of this reference number, the feel of this already appealing combination of the annual calendar and the flyback chronograph, with a couple of aesthetic touches, with a handful of visual elements, and makes it an altogether more compelling package. This is lot 936, the Patek Philippe annual calendar flyback chronograph, reference 5960G, in white gold, from the last year of its production. The pre-auction estimate puts the value of the watch right around 44,700 in US dollars. At 937, we have a beautiful example of the world time on a matching bracelet and a cloisonné enamel dial from 2017. This is the 5131 line 1R 011 with a cloisonné enamel miniature painting of the world map, here including the Americas and Australasia, East Asia, and Australia and New Zealand. You have the Observatoire like our hand, which of course is installed to ensure that you don't get your view obstructed of this beautifully executed dial. You have 4 gold beads at the quarters. The 24-hour ring encircles the center of the dial, which is framed by a pink gold circle. Of course, you have the sun for the day hours, which are represented in silvery gray, and the moon for night hours, which are presented in against a navy background, and a 24-hour ring, which includes a number of interesting cities. With the cloisonné enamel dials, the Patek Philippe signature is at 12 o'clock and Genève is at 6 on the domed bezel. You have, of course, the pusher at 10 o'clock that allows you to cycle through the 24-hour, through the 24 time zones as presented by their respective cities. And the pink gold case is beautifully matched with the 5-row beads of rice style bracelets. Cloisonné enamel is a type of micro painting, a type of miniature painting, which is very artisanal. And even if it's not unique to the world of watches, it is certainly very well used and implemented. It basically involves the artist tracing out the outlines of the painting with these fine gold threads that are in some ways finer than a thread of hair. And then basically they apply the colors with enamel powder, which is then fired in the oven until it settles in the right color. Micro rotor caliber with the full 22 carats micro rotor in gold. Truly a beautiful piece, seemingly in a new old stock condition, arriving to the auction with the full set of its original accessories. Lot 937 has a pre-auction estimate which puts the value of the watch in excess of 125,000 US dollars. At 938, we have a pair of pink gold Nautilus cufflinks. These cufflinks replicate the look of the porthole styled bezel of the watch, even in terms of its finishes. And also, of course, that gradient brown dial as well, with its horizontally ribbed decoration. This set of the pink Nautilus cufflinks comes with its presentation box. And lots 938 has a pre-auction estimate that's right around 3,800 in US dollars. If you have any watch-related questions, feel free to ask them to me. And if you have any requests for me to pull up from this auction, the link is right here. Feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I will be more than happy to dive right in and go back and forth. Doesn't matter whether I skipped it or I didn't get to it yet. I would love to go into some historical and horological detail. We're looking at two interesting rectangular Audemars Piguet pieces. Lot 942 is one in white gold with a 23.5 times 23.5 by 43 millimeter white gold case, rectangular case. Arabic numerals, baguette cut diamonds at the quarters. You have a railroad track that traces the outline of the case shape for the minutes, and also, again, a rectangular subsidiary dial for the small seconds as well. An interesting Art Deco feel in this watch with a hand-wound caliber, solid case back, beautiful white gold piece with a matching proprietary Audemars Piguet white gold tank buckle as well. The piece is presented as watch only at lot number 942. A rectangular white gold dress watch by Audemars Piguet with baguette diamond set at the quarters from around 2000. Piece has a pre-auction estimate that is in excess of 1,900 US dollars, 1,900. At 943, you have a smaller pink gold version of the same design. This is 21 by 38 millimeters. Again, a hand-wound caliber for a time-only watch, but this time a two-hander with a railroad track for the minutes, which traces the shape of the rectangular case and the dial. Diamonds for hour markers, baguette cut diamonds for 12 and 6 o'clock, and brilliant cut for the rest. And once again, you get a matching tang buckle in 18 karat yellow gold. Pardon me, in 18 karat pink gold. And a closed case back, two-tone cream dial for this pink gold piece. Hand-wound movements, 21 by 38 millimeters. And the pre-auction estimates puts the value of this watch at its low end in excess of 1,900 US dollars. At lot number 948, we have a pretty interesting piece. This is an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak perpetual calendar with an open worked execution, open worked dial. This is from around 2013, so it has a leap year indicator at 12 o'clock within the subdial for the months. There's a pointer date at 3 o'clock, day of the week at 9, and the moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock. You have a set of feuille hands that are heat blued, and the three calendrical hands as well are treated the same way for maximum legibility against the skeletonized dial. 39 millimeter jumbo style case on an integrated bracelets, all in 18 karat yellow gold. The reference number is 25829BA. As you can see, the open working is extended to the caliber itself, to the very movements where the bridges are skeletonized, as well as hand engraved for detail. The 21 carats rotor is similarly open worked to put the old school initials for the two founding families in Gothic font and sharp relief. This is once again Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Quantième Perpétuel, Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar in a jumbo style case with an open works treatment, reference 25829, with the moon phase and leap year indication at lot 948. The piece has a pre-auction estimate that places its value in excess of 51,000 in US dollars. At 949, we have a 41 millimeter and a very recent example of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar in stainless steel with a unique element, of course, of the weekly calendar also being integrated on the chapter ring. You have a moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock that's realistically rendered and set against an aventurine background. The tapisserie dial and the 4 subdial look for the perpetual calendar, which has the leap year indicator within the months at 12 o'clock, day of the week at 9 o'clock, and a pointer date at 3 o'clock. This is again the 41 millimeter case, so slightly enlarged compared to the classic executions of the Royal Oak Perpetual Calendar. This is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Quinzième Perpétuel reference 26574 ST. Royal Oak stainless steel perpetual calendar on the integrated bracelet with a 41 millimeter case with the moon phase and leap year indicators, as well as the weekly calendar indicated on the chapter ring. The estimated value of the piece is right around 83,000 in US dollars. Bruce G, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, man. $1.99. Cheers to your dedication and perseverance. Thank you. I appreciate you. This was actually the last lot in this auction, but I did skip over a few things. So I'm gonna work my way back and maybe take a look at a few other pieces like these two offshore chronographs back to back. At 9:46, we have a 42 millimeter Royal Oak offshore chronograph with the Grand Tapisserie dial, large Arabic numerals, date at 3 o'clock, 12-hour counter at 6, 30-minute totalizer at 9, and the continuous running seconds at 12. The tachometer is actually printed on the chapter ring. There is an additional centrally deployed chronograph hand. For the seconds, all in titanium with those rubber details for the pushers, the crown, and of course for that exposed gasket between the case and the octagonal bezel as well. Of course, the Royal Oak offshore, sorry, the Royal Oak offshore debuted. It was introduced in 1993, and it is the 30th anniversary now. It was initially designed by Emmanuel Guet, who derived it, of course, from Gérard Janta's original Royal Oak. It was a design that I myself resisted for some years, but increasingly I appreciate it more and more, mostly because I understand the Royal Oak to be, in so many ways, the perfect blend of the tradition of a sleek, elegant, ultra-thin dress watch that Audemars Piguet presented so ably until the introduction of the Royal Oak, with elements of an industrial brutalism and a kind of sporty dynamism that made it such a unique watch, such a heady mix when it came out, and subsequently for the following half century. Now that when you are reworking that design in some way, you have to tip that balance over in one direction or another. And Emmanuel Get, I think, pretty ingeniously tipped it towards the more brutal, sportier, and larger than life aspect of it. And over time, the offshore line, with the success that it caught on as the years went by, was integral to the revival of Audemars Piguet and to the success of Audemars Piguet in the late 90s and early 2000s, especially. So the Royal Oak Offshore is to me today more important than I recognized it to be in the past. I might change my mind again at some point, but I have a new appreciation for the line for sure. And at lots 946, we have an example of it, 25 to 71 Ti, 42 millimeter titanium case on the matching integrated bracelets, Grand Tapisserie dial with enlarged Arabic numerals, 3-register chronograph with the dates magnified at 3 o'clock. The pre-auction estimates puts the value of this particular piece right around 23,000 US dollars. Lot 945 is another Royal Oak Offshore chronograph, but a much more recent piece. This is the 26420 Ti titanium chronograph with the in-house movement. This time you can already see it from the configuration. The tachometer is still on the chapter ring, but there is the 1/5 of a second indicator has been separated from that chapter ring and laid between the hour markers, which are beautiful stick markers filled generously with lume. You have a mega tapisserie dial in blue and orange accents, or rather fiery red accents for the chronograph registers. The centrally deployed chronograph seconds hand is also tipped with red. There is a continuous running second subdial at 6 o'clock. Nice contrast between the deep blue elements of the dial with silvery elements. And the piece is actually on a matching rubber strap as well as an additional strap in black, the international warranty card, and the green presentation box is included in this package as well. 43 millimeter case on the rubber strap, which comes with the matching titanium tang buckle. This is an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore chronograph from 2021, reference 26420 Ti at lot number 945. The value of the watch, in accordance with the pre-auction estimates, is right around $32,000 at least. If you have just joined us, we have been covering Bonhams Hong Kong auction that is going to be a live event on May 30th. It's going to start at 2:30 p.m. local time. I have covered half of the lots yesterday and half of the lots on tonight's live stream. There are a few that I skipped. If you have just joined us, please hit the like button. It really helps. If you want me to discuss any particular lots that I may have skipped over or that I have discussed earlier and you didn't catch up with, please feel free to send in the lot number with a super chat, and I will go to significant horological and historical detail for your request. This is lots 933, a tonneau-shaped case for a Patek Philippe annual calendar, 5135J, a gondola calendario, sometimes called this model. The center of the dial is finished with this radial guilloche decoration to give it some additional dimension. At 6 o'clock, you have an aperture for the moon phase indicator and an additional 24-hour hand to serve as a day and night indicator. Center sweep seconds complement a Dauphine set of hands. Number 2 Arabic numerals at 3 and 9. The date is framed in gold at 12 o'clock, and you have 2 more aperture for the day of the week at 10 o'clock and for the month at 2 o'clock. The annual calendar was, of course, Patek's introduction to the world of horology in 1996. Well, I mean, I should say in 1996 when they introduced it. It was their proprietary complication. They were the first to do it. And it still remains a house specialty. And it is a way of making the perpetual calendar both more broadly accessible, but perhaps also a little easier to use, a little more casual. Unlike a complete calendar or a triple calendar, as sometimes it is called, an annual calendar only needs one adjustment per year, since it doesn't know the difference between the short month and the rest of the month. So all you need to do is to advance the calendar on March 1st. Other than that, as long as it keeps going, you're all set for the rest of the year. The piece here runs on a self-winding caliber with a full gold rotor. And as you can see, since the piece is from that earlier period of the 21st century, it still carries the hallmark of Geneva. It's right at the threshold, in fact, being from 2009. And it is presented on a leather strap with a matching tang buckle. I appreciate everyone who is listening. Please hit the like button. That really helps. And remember, this is a completely independent channel, completely autonomous, no sponsors, no payments, no special arrangements with the industry or gray market dealers. I'm here only for you, to share my passion for and my knowledge of wristwatches with you. And I'm completely at your behest too. So the channel exists thanks to your contributions in every way, whether it's a super chat or a contribution sent through PayPal or Cash App, or your support, the support of my Big Six on Patreon. All of these are very valuable to me, very important to me, and they help keeping the lights on, but also over long term, allowing me to increase the quality and quantity of the content. So I would really appreciate any kind of contribution if you're able. This was lot 933, a Patek Philippe annual calendar in yellow gold, reference 5135J, with the moon phase indicator at 6 o'clock. That is combined with a day and night indicator as well in the form of an additional 24-hour hands. The Gondolo Calendario, the pre-auction estimates, puts the value of the watch right around 20,430 US dollars. At 9:25, we have an interesting shaped Vacheron Constantin piece. That actually runs on an ultra thin self-winding caliber. The cushion-shaped case is actually quite reminiscent of a number of designs that range, of course, in very different forms, from the original waterproof Rolex Oyster case to, of course, the ones that were supplied to Officine Panerai by Rolex. But this is kind of like a TV shape more so. And it has a beautiful sunburst golden brown dial that is gradient and has this smoke effect at the periphery of the dial. Reference number is 7390 and the piece is in yellow gold. As you can see, it is presented with the original certificate as well as a travel pouch. It is roughly 32 by 32 millimeters, an ultra thin piece thanks to the K1120 self-winding movement on which it runs. It comes with a generic gold-plated buckle, so you are essentially just getting the watch head here at lot number 925 for the Vacheron Constantin cushion-shaped 32 millimeter diameter yellow gold dress watch with the golden brown sunburst gradient dial. Perfect two-hander time-only watch from around 1970. The pre-auction estimates at its lower end situates the value of this watch right around 3,830 US dollars. At lot 922, we're looking at a Chopard LUC watch, LUC, named after the founder of the Chopard brand, Louis Chopard, is the high horology manufacturer of Chopard, the high horological arm of Chopard, that produces a number of interesting pieces, usually representing some important horological achievements, often accompanied by the hallmark of Geneva or the mark of the Fleurier Quality Foundation. Here, you do have a movement, a micro-rotor movement that was designed originally by Michel Parmigiani for Chopard, with a bidirectionally winding 22 karat gold micro-rotor weight. This is the caliber 96 base, caliber 96.17/L in this case. The piece has a unique lacquered dial. It's the Japanese Urishi lacquer by the artisan Kiichiro Masumura with Yamada Heiando in 2006. The piece comes with the original presentation box and an open warranty certificate. And it portrays the phoenix on the dial, as you can see. Beautiful piece in a 40 millimeter 18 karat yellow gold case with an artisanally executed Japanese urushi lacquered dial. In new old stock condition. And the micro rotor movements for Chopard that's been designed for them originally by Michel Parmigiani is very impressive, and here treated in that high horological fashion and boasting a performance of 65 hours, even as it beats at 4 hertz. Very slender, beautiful dress watch here in an extremely limited execution. Lot 922 has a value that's right around 11,500 in US dollars. Lot 8 89 is a Frank Müller Centré Curvex. This is his version of the tonneau watch. There's some humidity ingress, which has damaged the dial as well as the case. The dial itself is silvered, guilloche decorated with the characteristic stylized Arabic numerals, a spade set of hands with that are both heat blued and have this beautifully twisted, slender minute hand, subsidiary dial for small seconds at 6 o'clock as well. As you can see, the damage is unfortunately quite noticeable on this piece, which is also a smaller size at 29 by 39 millimeters from around 2000. Pre-auction estimates at its low end puts the value of the watch right around 1,900 in US dollars. Lot 888 is the Frank Müller Casablanca in stainless steel, 29 by 39. With a salmon pink dial, lozenge-shaped hands that are generously filled with lume and heat blued. You also have a similarly executed small seconds hand at 6, a railroad track for the indication of seconds. That subdial is framed with a gold circle as well. Those elongated and stylized Arabic numerals stand as the hour markers in the stainless steel Frank Müller Casablanca piece, which is very well preserved and comes with a matching stainless steel buckle. With a Frank Müller branded strap with contrast stitching. The piece is going to be sold with out reserve at lot 888. And with that being said, the value of the watch is right around 1,275 US dollars at the low end of that spectrum. Could be an interesting deal. That was also 29 by 39, which I think is actually the proportions of the watch from that time period. This is a cool chronograph by Frank Müller in a tonneau-shaped case, but tonneau in Rolex's understanding. The case is very much similar to the design of the Daytona when you think about it. It has a 24-hour dial with a yellow background and black chronograph registers, as well as a seconds track and a minute track that is executed with a black background. The numbers are the Arabic numbers for the 24 hours are loomed, so are the lozenge-shaped hands for the hour and minutes. There's even a slight bit of loom on the centrally deployed chronograph seconds hand. All the seconds, all the chronograph hands for the 3 subdials are loomed as well. There's a 30 minutes totalizer at 3 o'clock, a 12-hour counter at 6, and at 9 we have the continuous running seconds, stainless steel bezel for the tachymeter, screw down pushers, no crown guards. However, for this 37 millimeter stainless steel case, the Endurance 24, which is a limited edition of 250 pieces. And obviously, the Endurance 24 itself is quite a loaded reference to Daytona, or alternatively Le Mans, right? The 24-hour races. This is lot 887, an early Frank Müller chronograph from around 1995, the Endurance 24 with the yellow dial, 37 millimeter stainless steel case, 24-hour dial, and a hand-wound caliber that is based on Lemania 1878. The lot is going to be sold without reserve at number 887, but the low end of the pre-auction estimates puts the value of the watch in excess of 1,276 US dollars. I'm going to present on one more watch, quite predictable and a little different. This is the original white gold Pepsi, as you can see, with the black dial, 116719 BLRO, Bleu Rouge. As you know, before the so-called Pepsi GMT was introduced in stainless steel, it existed in white gold from 2014 to 20. It was alone in having this particular combination of colors in that 24-hour rotational bezel off the line. This is a piece, again, that is offered with the full set of its original accessories, presentation box, warranty card, purchase receipt, 2 swing tags, the spare links, 2 spare links, and 2 booklets. This is from 2014, again, from the year in which it was introduced, with what was then the unique bicolor Cerachrome bezel, Rolex's iconic dual time watch, the GMT Master 2 in this case, with the additional 24-hour hand. This is lot 868. The piece at the lower end of that pre-auction estimate has a value that's almost 32,000 US dollars. Thank you, everybody. Please hit the like button on your way out. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your presence and support, for your questions, interventions, interjections from the chat. Thank you especially to Bruce G, Jake Brooks, and Big Meech for these generous contributions, for these super chats. If you want to support the channel, you know how. The information is included in the video description. It is now in that crawling ticker. And I am also going to add the links into the chat. As I mentioned before, the channel is completely independent, absolutely autonomous, which means that it doesn't have to compromise in any way when relaying information to you, that I'm not in the pocket of the industry, that I don't serve any other masters, that even though I cover all these auctions, I'm not employed by any of the auction houses. I am also not in the pocket of some gray market dealers. So I am completely at your service. I'm not beholden to anything else, but I'm also at your behest. So the channel very much depends on your contributions, and everything gets poured back to the channel in terms of my resources and time, which ultimately any contribution, which means ultimately that any contribution increases the quality and quantity of content on the channel. So feel free to make contributions on PayPal and Cash App. Both of those links are listed there. If you join me on Patreon, my Patreon members actually get at least 3 links to incredible watch deals online. It adds up to 100 different deals on watches on a monthly basis. And because I organize these as a daily digest with some exclusive content where I actually talk about the reasoning behind my choice in each and every instance, even as I choose these groups according to a specific model, a particular brand, or maybe a certain kind of complication, um, it is always an educational and informative journey. So even if you are not necessarily taking advantage of those particular deals at the moment, you will end up certainly broadening your horological knowledge step by step, day by day. So it's a great option, and I think it's very reasonable. If you click that link, you are going to see the tiers. They're very clearly laid out. There's also an option if you just want to contribute. But by all means, please check it out. In either case, don't forget to click the like button. It would really help me if you would share far and wide the kind of content I have on the channel. The shorts are great to share with friends, other enthusiasts, fellow collectors. I also have a number of 1 hour long interviews. I have also 10-15 minutes presentations on new releases and specific kind of watches. So if you find anything that you think your friend might like that would pique your interest and theirs, please feel free to send it to them. Feature it on other social media platforms. Help me expand this community that is purely built on passion for and knowledge for watches. I'll be back with you tomorrow. This signifies the end of today's broadcast, but I really appreciate you and thank you for your participation. Please feel free to join me tomorrow as well. I'll continue with the coverage of these auctions. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can add them on the comments. You can write to me on Instagram at young.brando, and you can just write me an email as well at lordhellespont5@gmail.com. That is lordhellespont@gmail.com. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, I bid you adieu. Take care.